All right, we're back with another high ticket sales role play. We're going to jump into a very interesting offer here, which is for someone in a 9 to 5 that is realizing they're not building their future wealth. And so this offer is to help them buy a business for them to have the cash flow to not only get out of their 9 to 5, but then to have that opportunity to build the future for themselves. Rayanne is going to play the closer on this offer. Brian is going to play the prospect. We're going to go through the discovery so that you can see the things that need to be executed in your discoveries if you want to close the highest number of prospects, serve your prospects, and also serve yourself by earning the money that you truly want to be earning. So without any further ado, Rayanne, kick us off with your opening question.
So, Brian, I'm curious, in your opinion, what is the biggest challenge you are having with buying a cash flowing business right now?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really know where to start. I've been working in corporate B2B sales for probably 15, 20. Yeah, I think it's been 20 years now. And I've obviously just been using my 401k, maxing that out, buying traditional index funds and everything. But recently I've started to realize the timeline for I guess getting freedom, like, I feel like that's just gonna be so far out, like, I don't wanna be 60, like, I'm 40 now. I don't wanna be 60 and, finally be able to live the life that I want, and I've been looking into real estate, didn't really think that was gonna be the path, and I think, like, 6 months ago, started doing research on buying businesses, but it's just so new to me, like, I have no idea where to start.
So, if I hear this correctly, you've been in your current position for the last 20 years, yes?
Mhm.
And right now, in the last 6 months, you've been thinking about buying a business, but you just don't know where to start.
Yeah, that's correct.
So, and then you've looked at other investment opportunities as far as the 401k, real estate. I actually want to know in regards to the real estate, what made you not go down that path?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a few.
Pause. Pause. So good energy, very chill. When you do your recaps, especially at the start of the call, you want to focus recapping the gap, meaning recapping what
Mm,
they are missing right now. So the 20-year timeline is true. The 6-month timeline is also true. Trying to look into his 401k, it's also true. But the most important truth in
yeah.
terms of a sales call is what don't you have right now that you want to have? So I'm not going to
Mhm.
tell you what it is. Hopefully you can remember what Brian said. I'm going to turn my camera off, give you another shot. And if you get it wrong, don't worry. Then I'll come in and tell you what it should be. Okay. Roll the recap again. So don't ask the question. Brian, you're not going to
Okay.
answer the question. Rayanne's just going to do a different version of the recap.
Okay. So, Brian, you mentioned that you've been in this job for the last 20 years, and you in the last 6 months have been wanting to buy a business. You've been maxing out your 401k, you've looked into real estate. You did talk about freedom. What When you were thinking about this freedom, did that just come up in the last 6 months, or has that been something that's been happening for quite some time?
Okay. So pause.
Okay.
Two additional changes. You want to put the pain at the front. So instead of
Oh,
starting
okay.
with, so you've been doing blank for 20 years, the last 6 months you've been doing this. And by the way, in a passing comment, let me mention the pain. You want to focus on the pain. The second thing is you want to keep as much of the precise language and specifics of the pain that the prospect gave you. So this is what it should sound like, but bear in mind it's not scripted. So it's take the principles of what I'm going to say. So if I'm hearing you right, Brian, the life that you want to be able to live is not on the timeline that you're going to be able to accomplish that level of lifestyle in the timeline that you want to be able to accomplish it. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's spot on.
Got it. And so you've been doing blank for 20 years. The last 6 months, you've been trying to buy businesses, blah, blah, blah. We can add that in later if we want to, but I really don't care about that. All I care about is let's agree, or we can agree to disagree, that this is your pain. This is your problem. And he said two things specifically was the life I want, which means the quality of life he could live if he were to just keep going on the path he's on now will be below the level that he actually wants to live. The second thing he said was timeline, meaning I might get there when I'm 60, which was the number he gave, but I want to be there when I'm 50. So those are the two angles to the pain point, and we want to bring those back together and start with that. Does that make sense?
It does. The thing that I get stuck on, because I heard this on one of the videos about like future and now, like how does that get merged to bring essentially what they want in the future to this now moment? And then
Great question.
let that be felt viscerally, like holy smokes, like okay, some people think 10 years is a long time. Nope. It's like a blink of an eye. So that's where I get stuck, because it's like, okay, well, how do I bring that to the now? And how important is it to do something now versus, okay, 5 years down the line, wonderful. Like, are you going to wait until you have the baby to make something happen? Or are you going to do this now?
In simple terms, once we've got clarity on the current pain point, some of your later questions and the angle of the conversation is going to have to be about what you said, which is what's going on now that made you need to do this, that made you realize this, that makes this a priority. You're going to have to bring it from the future back to now. But just so you're clear, and for everybody in the chat, when we say don't talk about the future, what we're saying is don't talk about a hypothetical future that may or may not happen. This is not a hypothetical future. This is, if you stay on the current path that you're on, you already know what's going to happen. Whereas a different future is like, what happens if you don't do anything and blank and 6, 12, 18 months go by and nothing changes? Well, I don't know. Well, Brian does know what's going to happen. He knows I'm going to be older than I want to be, and I'm also going to not live the life that I want to live. We don't want to ask questions where the hypothetical answer of the prospect is, I don't really know, because then you can't really go anywhere logically from there. Whereas if we did say in this context, so if you stayed on this path, what's going to happen? Brian's going to say, I'm not going to live the life I want, and it's going to be later than I want to live it. So neither of those are hypothetical futures. Does this make sense, guys? Slight nuance in the difference. Okay.
Yes, that makes a ton of sense.
That
So
makes
when
sense.
someone's clear of like, I want to start a family, I'm getting older and I don't want to be doing this until I'm 65. My wife, whatever, I want to spend more time, or my kids are growing and I don't see them. These are clear later, but then they need to do something now to make that happen versus, well, I don't know, I have something going on in 5 years. I wrote it down.
Let's take the example you gave, having a family. And this was a bit of a brutal example, guys. So bear with me on this. If someone says, I want to have kids, and then one of your later questions is, well, what happens if you don't have kids? They're like, well, then I won't have kids. I don't know. Like, I'm not really sure. That's a hypothetical future. If someone is impotent or sterile, and right now they're sterile, and you're like, so if nothing changes, what's going to happen? It's like, well, then I can't have a child because right now I'm sterile. I can't have a baby. As opposed to, you can do this. What happens in the future if you do or don't have it? It's like, well, I've got multiple options. It's the lack of options that you're selling someone removing. People don't like when they don't have options. Does this make sense? So it's like with Brian, if nothing changes, he doesn't have options. He's not going to live the life he wants, and he's going to be older than he wants to be. Whereas when you ask like a hypothetical question, they're like, well, this could happen, that could happen, this might happen, maybe this will happen. And because there's all these possibilities, then where do you go from there in a sales call? You don't want to have conversations where there's 16 different possible outcomes.
So
unless they just go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, so are you basically taking out whatever the current thing is that they're dealing with, you're drawing that into the future, as opposed to, like, let's say, oh, I want to go on more vacations. And it's like, well, what happens if you can't do that? That's hypothetical.
Correct.
But if it's, hey, I'm not making money right now, then it's, okay, well, if that continues, what's going to happen then? that kind of distinction.
Well, yes, but also it's like, well, what's going on right now because you're not making money?
Right. And then
Do
drawing
you want
that
to
out.
keep living that life?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So, like, my consequence question using the sterile person is like, how much longer do you want to continue to be sterile, as opposed to how much longer do you want there to be a possibility that you don't have a baby in the future? Well, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. What I care about is today. Right now, today,
Okay.
am I willing to continue on the path that I'm on? That's not hypothetical. That's reality. Right
Yep.
now, Brian is on a path where the life he wants to live isn't going to happen. The timeline he wants it to happen in isn't going to happen. Do you want to stay on that path? Yes or no? Make
That
sense?
makes sense.
That's
It's like a,
cool.
And
it's
then
like a
it comes,
trajectory of the two lives he's on. Do you want to keep going on the one that you're on, which is you already know the outcome? Does that make
it
sense?
comes back to that some people really just make the decision of, like, if you ask like, oh, well, what happened? And I'm like, I don't have a choice. This has to be done now.
Yep.
I can't, there's no way.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Which is this example here, because he already knows the outcome.
Yeah.
He will not live the life he wants to live.
So then what happens if somebody gives you hypotheticals then? I mean, is this
That's
like a
because you asked a
qualified
question where
process?
they can give you hypotheticals. Don't ask questions where they can give you hypothetical
Okay.
answers. Yeah.
Makes
Okay. All right.
sense.
Let's jump back in so we don't spend too long on this. Do the recap again, focus on the pain points, and then this will also help you to know what questions to ask next. Because if your recap is focused on the right things, you then know what you want more information about. You
Mhm.
want more information about these 2 pain points. That's what we're going to dig into.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Go from there. You got it.
Okay. So, Brian, you mentioned that you're 40 years old now, and this is you see and realize that the life that you want to live is not happening right now, and you're not going to want to do this up until you're 60. Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've been in your position for the last 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've been maxing out your 401k, and real estate is not something that you want to look at, and you've been looking into the businesses in the last 6 months. Curious, when did you decide, or let me back up, because you've realized that this is not the life you want to live, where did buying a business come to play as far as deciding that you were going to start and buy businesses? Or what I'm really trying to say is, when did you decide that, hey, okay, let me give buying a business a shot?
Well, after looking into, because like I said, I mean, 401k, like that's gonna happen. Maybe it'll work out 20 years, but I want to be able to do something much sooner than that. So I crossed that off. And then I started looking into what sorts of assets can I acquire that will cash flow now, which led me to real estate. And then I looked into that, and I have family members that own real estate, and they tell me how much of a pain in the ass it is managing all these different properties, dealing with tenants, and having to acquire properties constantly. And just, I didn't want to do that. I feel like that's way too hands on for what I'm doing right now. I don't have the time to manage a property actively like that. Plus, I don't really know anything about it. I feel like because I've been in business and I kind of understand how that works, it seems like a more logical vehicle to get into. And so I've just started, I came across y'all's content. I read I forgot what the book was called, but something like Main
Main
Street
Street.
Millionaire. Yeah, I read
Yeah.
that book. And then a few months ago, yeah, 6 months ago, just started really researching it. But I'm honestly afraid to just take that step. I don't really know what to do.
Okay. A lot of things you
So
mentioned here
let's
regarding.
let's
Okay.
shift. That wasn't the right question, but I wanted you to just go with it.
Yeah.
You need to focus on the current situation. Focus on
Okay.
seeking to understand what's going on right now with Brian more than trying to understand why he wants to make this decision, trying to
Mm.
get some commitments from him. Don't worry about that yet. You just got to pull out the current situation. So ask some questions about his current situation
So,
given the 2 contexts. Yeah, go ahead.
so would it be appropriate to even ask, like, what's the biggest reason you want to buy a business right now? Or is
I
that
mean,
too
that's
early?
ultimately getting you to what's going on right now, but it's too It's too pointed. You want to just try and understand the lay of the land first, rather than ask a question like, why do you want a business? Why do you want to buy a business right now? Because it's forcing him through this tiny gap where he knows you're trying to get him to say, I want it for this reason, I want it for that reason, and sell him. Just understand his life first. Let me jump in. So, Brian, I could say, okay, so you know that with what you're doing right now, you're not going to live the life that you want. You're also not going to get there on a timeline that you want. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
So, what is the life that you want that you know you won't be able to live with your current setup as far as building your future?
Well, I've been working sales jobs since I was 18,
Mm-hmm.
and like everything that comes along with that, 10-hour days. It's been a lot over
Mm-hmm.
the last 20 years, and the life that I want is to not have to do that anymore, right? To be able to work. I think I'm not the type of person that can sit back and cash checks, but I'd like to work less and have the option to take time off if I want to spend more time with my kids. And with my current schedule, and it's been the same schedule I've had for really most of my adult life,
Mm.
it's really hard to do that. Like, I have to plan months in advance if I want to take time off. I have to cover things, I have to save up enough. And I feel that having some cash flowing assets will take that pressure off. And like I said, I think businesses seem to make the most sense. They seem to be the most, I guess, recession proof as well. So, yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned a few things there: pressure, having to plan, very high hours, being stuck to the rigidity of a certain schedule. Is that accurate? And that's your current situation right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, how many hours did you work last week?
60.
60.
Mhm.
Is that your average per week? Is that more than normal,
Yeah.
less than normal?
Pretty normal. I mean, on the low end, I'm probably working 50. So it's not
Okay.
really much
So
better.
50 to 60 hours. And
Yeah.
what did you earn last month?
About 30,000.
Okay, so you earned 30,000 for somewhere in the region of 240 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned pressure. What are you currently experiencing as far as pressure with your job?
Well, I mean, there's quotas that are always changing. I mean, I am the like number one sales guy, but
Mm-hmm.
it's I feel like the pressure to stay at the top used to be competition, just wanting to be the best, but now it's like we have this lifestyle that we need to maintain, and if I don't perform, then we're going to miss out on a lot. And then that's also going to delay my ability to invest in like stocks and stuff that I've been doing. So then that just
Mm.
further pushes out the timeline. So it's basically I have to show up like how I am, or everything kind of falls apart.
So there's a pressure that you have for the way that you need to show up consistently to hit
Yeah.
quota. Is that accurate?
Well, that's a big part of it because obviously I want to stay with my job, but it's also maintaining our current lifestyle. Like my wife spends a lot of money, so got
And
to do
so
that.
the challenge with that is that in order for you to do that, it requires a lot of you taking on pressure to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm not clear what exactly is the pressure that you're taking on. Like, give me an example from the last 30 days of you carrying that pressure.
Well, we have 5 kids. That's expensive. So that's probably like, I don't know, 6 or 7 thousand dollars a month just paying for all their stuff, sports, whatever you name it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Then mortgage is, we live in a big house to fit everybody in there. So our mortgage is like 3 grand there. So that's
We'll
just
come.
10. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. We'll come to the money side here in a minute. What
Okay.
I'm trying to understand is, you know, if you had these high expenses, but you had money just coming in, then you wouldn't feel pressure. The pressure is not necessarily coming in from the amount of money these things are costing. It sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, the pressure is the pressure you are under when you're at work to generate that amount of money. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's, yeah, the work that I have to do, the hours that I have to put in to do all that, right? It's not a problem, you know, like I don't have an issue with our lifestyle or anything. I don't think it's crazy high, but yeah, I think at work, just having to, I mean, they change the quota like every other like 2 or 3 months. And I don't understand because it seems like I'm the only one that's hitting it. So they're just constantly moving the goalpost. And
And what does that specifically do to you every time they change the quota? What changes for you?
well, I feel like I have to basically lock in more every single month. It's not that my hours are going up, but like let's as an example, like last month, for instance, I don't remember exactly what the quota was, but I know I hit it. And I just remember that feeling like, okay, I got to be in the office, you know, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this. And then I hit it, and then there's this sense of relief. And then I thought, okay, well, the next month won't be as hard because now I know I can do that. And then they raise it.
So I'm clear on one side, which is the
Yeah.
hours. Now I'm trying to understand the locking in. What exactly are you having to lock in? You mentioned physically being at the
Yeah.
office. Is there anything else you have to lock in when you're under the pressure of those quotas?
Well, it is staying. I think staying in the office is a big part of it. But the other
Okay.
thing is, even when I'm home, I feel that I have to constantly. I mean, I can't turn it off. Like I'm constantly thinking about, oh, you know, I got to follow up with this person tomorrow. I got to do that. Why didn't I close that person? And then I'm thinking and like listening back to or writing about why I didn't get a certain deal when I thought I should have. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot. Like, I don't know when to turn it off or how. And I don't want to have to do that anymore. That's why I want to buy something that can help me get out of this.
Pause. Let me just cancel the role play for a sec. Notice, hopefully you will see that. It's very subtle. Because I'm pressing and pressing and pressing and pressing and not getting off the pain, Brian then said, that's why I need to do something about it now. I didn't even have to ask him, why do you want to do something about it now? The more you press on the pain, the more the prospect feels like, can we hurry up and can you sell me something? Like, I need to do
Literally.
something. But
Yeah.
I'm like holding back. I'm like, I'm not even going to talk to you about selling anything. I'm not even going to talk to you about businesses. Just going to talk to you about your life. And it's like the more
It's
you
insane.
are resistant to talking about business or whatever your fucking offer is, the more the prospect's like, can you sell me something? Does this make sense, guys?
Yep.
It's so
Do
crazy.
not
It's
try and
Yep.
say,
crazy.
why do you want to buy a business? Oh, well,
It's
I want to
like
buy the business for
dangling
this
the
reason.
carrot, and it's like, nope, can't have it. Not yet.
100%.
Well, the entire time you're doing that, it's like logically, as you're going deeper, I'm like, I just don't want to do this. Like, you're just like, no, 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 I'm done. Like, no,
And
no,
I
no.
never
Like,
have to say to you,
yeah.
why do you not want to do this anymore? You're telling yourself, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And all I'm getting Brian to
Wow.
do is viscerally and verbally describe his current situation.
Mm,
Notice how quickly, because it took me one question to go
mm,
from the
mm.
future back to the
It's
present, because there's
crazy.
nothing else you could go off of. I had to say, what's the life you want to live? Well, I want to have more hours. Got it. So what do your hours look like right now? And immediately we're back to the present. And it's, what are your hours? How much money are you making for that? I haven't even got to time off yet. Or, I mean, we're touching on the rigidity of the schedule right now, planning things, you know, we're covering the pressure as well. But this is all I'm doing is I'm just going deeper into the current situation. Then I can go horizontal. If you haven't heard of going horizontal yet, Rayanne, that's where I can say, so you can't turn it off. And you said it's a lot for you. I'm curious, Brian. You mentioned wife, you mentioned kids. What impact is this having on those other areas of your life? Oh, my wife's annoyed and I'm annoyed with my wife, and then we're bickering, and you know, we've had to go to counseling and whatever. And all of a sudden, he's just buried in the pain. And then when I later on say, got it, so I'm clear on your situation. How much longer, Brian, do you want to continue to live life like this? Not another day. Got it. So why businesses? Why not just buy stocks or real estate or, you know, whatever? No, I want businesses for this reason. And then I can transition into the selling part of the call where I'm getting him to say why he wants businesses. But you don't do that until they're exhausted by the pain, because that's
Mm,
actually what
Yeah.
convinces them. It's not, tell me why you want a business. Oh, they've told me, so now they've convinced themselves. No, they convince themselves earlier on in the discovery from the pain. Does this make sense? Okay, so
yeah.
we're
Yep.
going to go all the way back. We're going to go from
Okay.
Brian has said he's was working 20 years, 6 months he's been looking for businesses. He knows he's not going to live the life he wants, and he's not going to do it in the timeline. We're going to go from there, and you're going to do it. Okay. So hopefully you're enjoying this training. Now, if you're brand new to the channel, you can skip this. But if you've been watching my videos for weeks or months, you've gotten value, you've implemented, you're making more money because of it, the question I have for you is, what are you doing still sitting on the outside? Are you someone who's going to continue to just watch free content when deep down you know being on the inside, being mentored by me directly, being around other unicorn closers is the thing that would take you to the next level? If you think you're getting value from the free content I'm putting out here on YouTube, what do you think happens inside the mastermind? So if you know you're ready, if you're at that point, you've seen what you needed to see, click the link below this video, jump inside. I'll see you there. Now back to the training. All right, ready, Brian?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
All right, Brian. So you mentioned that right now you realize that with the way things are going, you're not going to have the life that you want. Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm.
Do it
And
again.
so,
Life you want
okay.
and the timeline. Get both of them.
And so in the timeline would be, because he talked about he's 40 now, and then he doesn't want to keep doing this until he's 60. That's the timeline that we're talking about?
We don't necessarily know what his ideal timeline is yet. All we know is that Brian said, if I keep doing what I'm doing now, which is how you summarized it, the life I want to live, I'm not going to be able to live it, and I'm not going to be able to get to the life I do want to live in the right timeline. So it's the quality of the life he wants is going to be reduced, and he's going to shorten his lifespan as far as continuing to be in an office, working all these hours, doing the things he doesn't want to do.
So which timeline,
We don't know yet. It's
Oh,
still
okay.
vague.
Got
We
it.
don't know what his ideal
Got it.
timeline is going to be yet. It's one of the questions that I'll want to know.
Is what's the life that he wants to live now, and then the fact that he realizes from now until 60, it's not going to happen.
Why is that an issue? You know, why?
Okay.
What's wrong with getting it at 60? No, I want to have it at 55. Okay, well, why?
So is that a question that I touch on, or do I just
It will
go
be
right
later. It will be later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it would just
when
be
you're
the
doing
question.
the recaps, what you're basically doing, it's like the mountain climber. When you climb up the mountain, so you don't fall all the way back to the ground and die, as you're climbing, you hammer in these little hooks into the mountain so you can tie your rope to the place that you've got to. So even if you climb a little bit higher, if you fall down, you're only going to go back to where you hooked in. When we're doing the recap, there might be two things, so timeline and life he wants, and we're not going to go into both of them right now. But the recap is me just saying, okay, I asked you the opening question. You told me these two things. We're going to put a pin on that, and I'm going to go off and go into this one, but we can always come back to this other one.
Okay. So just recap the timeline situation. Okay. And everything else after. So the pain on the front end and then everything else after that. Got it.
Personally, if it's me, I wouldn't even really mention that he's been working for 20 years and he's done 401ks and index funds. I wouldn't mention it in my recap. Later on in the call, once I've buried him in the pain and I say, so let's go into this. You mentioned that you've been putting money into your 401k index funds. Why not try and accomplish this life that you want to live in the timeline that you want to do it by doing more of that? Oh, no, I can't do that for that reason. I can come back to that in 10 minutes time. But at this moment in the call, that information is not really useful. So I'm not really going to mention it. I'll just move on.
Just the timeline and
the life he wants in the timeline. Yeah. All right. Go from there.
Okay. So Brian, you mentioned that right now you realize that this is not the life that you want to live. And then you're 40 and it's not something that you want to do up until you're 60. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's just gonna take too long. I mean, I've been working long enough, I feel, and with how much money I'm making, I had a goal when I was in my 20s to be able to step away from work by now, and it's frustrating that that hasn't happened. So, looking for a faster way to do that because index funds, I mean, yeah, that'll allow me to retire eventually, but I don't not in the timeline that I want. No, not at all.
Got it. And so this life that you want to live now, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, just having the option to step away from work and not have to.
One other thing. So be careful on the way you phrase the questions. Instead of this life that you want to live, what does that look like? I would phrase it as this life that you can't live, what does that look like? One
Yeah.
is focused on the glass half empty and one is focused on the hypothetical glass half full. What are you missing right now as opposed to what would you like to have? The information that you'll get is the same, but the framing of the information is the opposite. One is the frame of I can get this. The other is the frame of I don't have that. The information is exactly the same. I want to work less hours, but it would be framed as right now I'm working too many hours. That's pain.
So basically, with this question of the can't have, so would it be appropriate? I mean, even that framing of what's this life that you can't have right now or you can't live right now? What does that look like on a day to day? Is that
You're
would that be
over
appropriate?
talking the question, but
Or is that
yes,
too much?
that's better.
Okay. Okay.
I'll leave you to go with it. I
Got
don't
it.
want to confuse you too much. I just want you to try and focus that at the front part of the call, we're trying to keep the prospect in the negatives. What don't you have? What's shit? What are you in pain about? What's missing? What's broken? What's not working? So everything we're talking about and how we frame things needs to be about the pain.
All the negatives.
Yep.
Can't.
All right. Keep going from there.
So what's this life that you can't have right now? You can't live. What does that look like?
Yeah, it's being able to take time off when I want to and not having to stress about what I'm missing from not working and just having the ability to basically do what I want and not be handcuffed to a paycheck.
You mentioned a few things here. I'm curious, with the stress of what's missing, what's the stress that you're going through?
Yeah, well, I mean, because I have so many kids, like there have been times where I am not able to make it to a sports game or something like that, and I'm missing these events because I have to make enough money to support the sports things. It's like this weird dichotomy where I'm working to support that, but I can't even be there to enjoy it. So I don't want to. Yeah, I mean that's probably the big one. Just being able to spend more time with my kids. I'm not able to do that all the time right now.
Yeah. And so when you can't see your kids or you're not able to go to their events, how is that impacting them?
Yeah, I mean,
So that's a good question later, but we need specifics first.
Okay.
I've got a question tucked up my sleeve that will bury him very quickly. I want to see if you can get closer to it. We need to know specifics. So ask him something that would pull out some specifics based on the fact he said, if I don't work, then I can go to the events, but I can't go to the events because I have to work. What would be a better
Has to
question?
make enough money. So he mentioned that he has to go to work to have a paycheck, and the dichotomy of he's got to make enough money.
Yep.
But then he's still not able to see his kids. So then I would want to know what's enough money to be able for him to see his kids or go to the event and not have the stress of
This is where a lot of closers get stuck, guys. This is really important. You're all good people that are trying to find solutions. You have to find the problems first. Rayanne's like, well, what's the amount of money that we can get him to that then he doesn't have this problem? You're solution focused. And I know this sounds ironic, guys, but you need to be problem focused, not solution focused. You're too logically like, well, what's the amount of money then? Let's just get him to there and he's fine. No, focus on the problem. So it would go something like this. Ready, Brian? So you mentioned...
I'm ready to get buried.
It's not that bad, but it's just how quickly I can get you to really feel the pain with one question. So you mentioned because you have to go to work to earn the money to maintain your lifestyle, there are things that you're missing as far as experiences and events with your kids. Is that right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We're January 16th now. What were the 3 biggest, most painful things that you missed last year because of this dichotomy? You see that, guys? Like, just tell me the problems. Not what's the amount of money to fix the problem. What are the 3 biggest things in 2025 that you missed?
So it's going in the right direction. It's just not the right question. It could be about the kids and how that's impacting them and how it's impacting him and what he's missed.
Yes, but you're asking for the what's the word? Like by wanting to know how's it impacting them, you're jumping over him having to relive the experience in specifics first. You have to get him to relive the experience first, not asking about the meaning behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to give like a summary here, guys, there's 2 things that closers do wrong. Focusing straight on just finding the solution. Well, how much money do you need to fix the problem? The second thing that closers do wrong is focusing on the meanings of things. Well, what's it mean to your kids that you're missing the event? What's it mean to you? What's it mean to your wife? That stuff's great later on in the call. But before we focus on a solution, before we focus on the meanings, let's focus on what is. What is? What did you miss? That's all I need to know. What did you miss? Okay, so you say you're missing things. What's the worst thing you missed, Brian? That will make him shit his pants.
Mm-hmm.
Just asking him that one question. What did you miss? So don't focus on the solutions. Don't focus on the meanings behind things and freaking existentializing everything. Just what happened? What's going on? Does this make sense, guys?
Mm-hmm.
So if I summarize it in a simple word, the solution is how. How do I? How can I? The meanings are the questions why, but the front part of the call is the questions what. What is going on? What is happening? Not why is something happening, or why is that bad, or why does that matter? And neither how do we fix it? How do we get there? How can we solve it? Focus on what-based questions first in a nutshell. Okay? All right. So give that another shot, Rayanne.
Okay. So you talked about missing out on your kids' events, and then there's this dichotomy, right, where you have to make enough money to support them, but then yet you're not able to see these events. And so now we're coming into the new year. In the last year, what were the 3 things, the most painful things that you have missed in your kid's life?
Yeah, I mean, last year, recently actually, was towards end of December. Obviously, my kids had school off, and one of them had a play, and I remember how excited they were for me to be there, and I wasn't able to make it because I had to work, and that was not good. I'm sad that I missed that because they didn't even allow recording there, so I have no idea what happened. Wife wasn't able to record it, so it's like it didn't even happen, at least from my perspective, and I don't want to do that anymore.
Got it. So I asked for 3 things. You gave me 1. I'm getting out of role play. Okay, so you can't do this anymore as far as you missed that play and this was recent. How did this impact this kid of yours that you couldn't make it to their play?
So problem with that question is you're kind of assuming the problem was an impact to the child. Probably was, but your question is assuming something. There's what's called a presupposition.
Yes.
So it's better to just say, and this is why if we just lead with curiosity by listening, you'll get the answers you want without going off track. So all I need to say is, okay, so you mentioned it was like that experience didn't even happen. You also mentioned that you can't allow this to happen again. Why? Mm-hmm. Now he's going to tell me it's because it impacted his wife or him or the child or God or whatever. And he's going to take me, the prospect, to where it impacted without me assuming I know where it impacted. I don't know if it was his child that it impacted or him or his wife or whatever. So I
sure did assume. I felt that as a mom. I was like, ooh, ouch. That hurts. Yeah. For the baby. So that's why I went there. So I got to get my emotions out of kids.
100%. That's a big one. Many salespeople, we assume what the prospect's issue is going to be because what would be the issue for us. Oh, they don't have money. I don't like not having money. So that's what the issue is. Maybe it's nothing about the money. Maybe it's about the fact that because they don't have money, they can't do their, pilgrimage or whatever it is, some spiritual thing for them. You have no idea. Could be nothing to do with materialistic stuff. One of the key things with internal mastery, folks, and therefore becoming a great salesperson, is completely detached from any assumptions. Yeah, that's why you got to keep most of your questions open-ended when you don't know what the thing is going to be. When I know what the thing is, like if you said, I missed experiences with my kids, I know that's the thing. So then I'm going to say, what experiences did you miss? But if he says it was bad, the missing information is what was bad about it. I'm not going to say, oh, why was it bad that your child got upset? I don't know that his child got upset, so I don't want to assume that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just what until you've kind of got the whole picture, and then why.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. I mean, even a why is telling you the bigger picture. That's why sometimes a why question is going to give you a very specific answer that you kind of knew what was coming. Other times, a why question is going to tell you something that you thought, I had no idea that's what the prospect was going to say. Which is why there's no literal framework for this. The only framework is you have to detach from all of your presuppositions and assumptions and just be curious. But be curious about what's going on in the prospect's life, as opposed to you being curious about, if I ask these 3 questions, can I box the prospect in to want to buy my thing? Yeah. The other thing I wrote down on my notes that I was going to say is, when you asked Brian the question of what experiences did you miss, I'm sitting here observing it thinking, the moment you ask a prospect something like that, they feel like you actually care. And that's what deletes trust objections and, all the other nonsense that you get at the end of the call, follow up and stuff like that. Whereas if you just say, okay, cool, so why do you want to buy a business? They're like, you're not even going to ask me, like, how am I or what my favorite color is yet? Like, you're already asking to marry me? Right?
That makes sense.
It's just too premature. You've got to understand the person first. You've got to let them open up. Okay. All right. Give it another shot, Rayanne. So go from.
Okay. That he can't do this anymore.
He can't do this anymore. Exactly. Spot on.
So, Brian, you missed this play earlier this year and you weren't able to make it to that, and you can't do this anymore. Why?
Because, I mean, my daughter's like 8 right now, and there's not going to be many more memories like that I'm going to have an opportunity to even be present at. And if I continue having to work all these hours, I'm just going to miss even more. And that's not even taking into account my boys, like missing the sports events too. But they're guys, they don't really care as much. But my daughter's just, she was heartbroken by that. And I've noticed some distance between us over the last 2 weeks, and I'm still trying to repair that, and I'm not really sure.
So this is where you have to really be listening intently. What Brian said at the beginning is, oh, there's not going to be many more memories left. That's bullshit. The amount of memories that he lost between his daughter being 0 and 8 is probably the same amount more memories that he's going to lose between her being 8 and 16 years old and maybe leaving home. It's not like all of a sudden the memories that can be created have just disappeared. But then what he said was, now, I can't remember the phrasing, but now there's been like a bit of distance between him and his child.
She's heartbroken, and he's
heartbroken, and their relationship's fractured. That's the real reason that he wants to do something about it right now. So you got to listen to what the prospect's saying and think, does that actually make sense that all of a sudden, like, he's going to buy and
I
fix
questioned that.
Because
I was like, many more memories? Your kid is 8. What the heck? You can make memories now until she's like 30.
Exactly.
That's what came in my head.
Yeah. So what he's actually saying is, the timeline to make more memories is still there. I've still got another 8 years, 10 years, whatever. But what he's now realized is that there is potentially an irreversible fracture in his relationship with his child. If he fucking misses one more event, she might never, ever, ever, ever look at him the same way. This is where you got to really listen to what's going on and think, where's the real pain, as in like a cost, or we could call it a consequence. It's not that all of a sudden he doesn't have more memories left to create. So you have to ask questions about the second thing he said, not the first one, or you'll go completely in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I was
The
going to
fact
go
that
with the
you could
heartbroken
notice
part
that, Rayanne, is very good.
and
That you could
repair.
see.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Go from there.
So basically, right now, you're trying to repair this relationship with your 8-year-old daughter because she feels heartbroken. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
How's that going?
The repair?
Before you say how's it going, ask what's going on right now.
Okay.
How's it going is like, well, you know, I'm trying this, I'm trying that, it's going okay, it's not going okay. What's going on is, well, she doesn't look at me every morning. We sit down, we have breakfast, and she literally doesn't look at me. That's going to pull out pain. That's going to pull out consequence. It's going to pull out urgency. It's also going to pull out ownership. All the things that salespeople struggle with, the consequences, the ownership, the urgency, you know, giving money, the price point, they just come out by you asking what's going on and pulling out the pain. They don't really come out from you asking ownership questions or consequence questions. They just come out by you actually getting the prospect to relive the pain. And if the pain's bad enough, which it is because it's an inbound sales call, they didn't turn up, you know, for the hell of it, that will create the urgency and create the ownership. So you've just got to get deep enough into the specifics of the current situation. Okay. All right. Keep going from there. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, good. So what's going on right now with you trying to repair this relationship with your heartbroken daughter?
Well, I've noticed.
Sorry to interrupt again, guys. I wouldn't even say the word trying. What's going on right now with your relationship with your daughter who's heartbroken?
Okay.
The word trying is still elongating it into like hypotheticals.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying this and I'm trying that and blah, 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 blah. No, what is actually the situation between you two right now?
No trying. Okay, got it.
Yeah. I'll give you an example that might land for you. If you're, I don't know if you're single or not, you don't have to ask, doesn't matter. But imagine if you were dating a guy, whatever, and things were okay in the beginning, but then things started to drift apart. And you made him aware that, you know, he's not doing what he needs to do. And he said, well, I'm trying this and I'm trying that and I'm trying to do this. You wouldn't be interested. You're like, yeah, whatever. Trying, I don't care about trying. You care about him saying, I did this and I did that and I did this. That's the difference of like when someone's invested in the interest of what's going on or not, is they're not talking about trying. They're talking about what's actually happening.
Okay? No, I tell my kids all the time, trying is not good enough to actually do it. Trying is not good enough. Okay,
100%.
got it.
All right.
Okay. So what is going on right now with the relationship you have with your daughter who's heartbroken?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty bad. I mean, because that was, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. And since then I've noticed anytime I ask her, like when she gets home from school, like, how was your day? It's just fine. And then she goes and, does her own thing. It's like I don't even have any time with her anymore. And it seems like she's in a rush to get away from me whenever I do try to spend time with her. And last night when we had dinner, she's just very cold towards me. Like she'll talk to her siblings and my wife, but she will just completely ignore me. And I'm worried, like, what, I don't even know how to get out of that, but B, I don't even want to risk that happening anymore. And as such, I've decided to cut some of my hours at work a little bit, which is hard because we've had to make some cuts financially in our budget, but at the end of the day, I can make more money, but I can't get more time.
Right. And
All right.
I'm
Pause.
curious.
That's good. Let me show you something on the whiteboard, folks, that just popped into my head.
Damn, I was about to say something that might have really
You can hold on to the next question.
buried his ass. No, I'm just kidding.
Good.
I'm getting this. I'm seeing I've learned really bad habits. This is why I'm here.
Well, there's a lot of bad habits. Yeah. Guys, you have to understand this, which is who here, be honest, is listening to this call thinking, but we're not talking about businesses. We're not talking about buying businesses. Like, we're just talking about his freaking kids. Like, do we not need to talk about buying businesses? No, because you do not have any reason to be selling buying a business unless you know what's going on in their life, which is the pain / the urgency / the reasons, whatever you want to call it. In other words, what you're doing, guys, is this offer has a price point. You need to make sure that on this side, the value to give you that 10K has been created. And then it's just a lay down sale. They just buy by default because they're like, oh my goodness, me missing my daughter's, it's not even missing his daughter's play. It's the fact that breaking permanently relationship with daughter. What's the price point on that, guys?
Infinite.
Oh my God. Priceless.
Millions.
Golly.
So if you get this, then you have an actual conversation to be had about buying businesses and the fact that it's dirt cheap in comparison. We're not there yet. So do not talk about business. And this is where salespeople go all the way wrong, is they're like, I'm selling buying businesses. So shouldn't I be talking about their current process with buying businesses? How many have they looked at? How's it going? What are they struggling with? Why do they want to buy a business? Why do they want to buy a business from us? No, you do not have a job yet to be selling them buying a business. You have to find that there's a reason for them to even buy a business in the first place. And then what actually happens, guys, once you've had this conversation over here, when we then get to, and this is just incredible when you feel that, and I say feel, not see, not hear, feel this happen in real time on a sales call. When you've pulled out the thing that the person is suffering with, and you're then able to ask 1, 2, 3 questions, or even just tell them and make a statement that the reason that his relationship with his daughter is on the edge of being permanently broken is because he doesn't have a business that gives him cash flow that allows him to buy back his time without worrying about working less hours and then not being able to pay the level of lifestyle they've got. All of a sudden, the guy's like, holy shit, if I just get the business, then my relationship with my daughter's going to be fine. And then when they have, this is called connecting the dots, guys. When they get the dots connected in their head, because you were the person that facilitated the dot connecting by association, you are the genius that they should buy the product or service from. So when you then say, why do you want to buy, Cody Sanchez's product? They're like, they'll just tell you 600 different reasons because they've already framed their mind that they have to buy from you because you're the one that made them feel a certain way, which is this light bulb moment. But you have to do this step by step. Step 1 is get the pain. Step 2 is connect the dots. Step 3 is ask them, why us? Why now? How much longer? And those commitment-based questions, it's like rolling a ball down a hill. You don't have to do any work. They just happen by default. Like Chris said, this is why I didn't get objections, guys. You stack this up and show the prospect that the pain that they're suffering is somewhere in the 6 figures, which, by the way, guys, it's always in the 6 figures when you put out personal reasons.
Always.
Them not having self-esteem, them not being able to date the women that they truly want and settling in their dating life, them hating the way they look when they go on the beach because they're overweight, not being able to date the girls they want because their fitness isn't where they want it to be, whatever it is. The price of their pain is never anywhere close to the price of your product or service, which also not only why I didn't get objections or have to do follow-up is also why I used to just sell things for a higher price. As in, I got told the offer's 10K, I'd just start slinging it for 15 or 20. Why not? Still a bargain for what I'm saving them from. But it all comes from doing this, then connecting the dots to them that, okay, got it. So if I can be blunt with you, Brian, sounds like you're on the edge of permanently damaging the relationship, maybe irreversibly, with your daughter. Is that a fair assessment? Now, he'll probably say, yes, that's fair. And I would say, to double tie him down, I know that sounds extreme. Is there any way, shape, or form that I'm exaggerating that? No, honestly, that's not even an exaggeration. If I screw this up again, based on the fact that my daughter won't look at me right now, I think it will be permanent. Okay, why are you in this position? And now when I move into why are you in this position, or however I phrase it, we need to get him to realize that it's because he has not put his time, money, or effort into building cash flowing assets that allow him to buy back his time and therefore be present for his relationship with his daughter. When you show that dot connecting, by association, they're going to buy from you. They don't go and say, one of my favorite things that closers say they get objections with is the prospect says, oh, I'm looking around at other options. Fuck no, are they going to say that when you've done this? Absolutely never are they going to say, oh, I need to go check with another few different options. Because by the way, even though they haven't already spoken to those other options, subconsciously, the human being that you're on the phone with, the prospect, knows there is a 0.0000001% chance that any other salesperson they speak to are going to be able to do what you just did. That is subconscious. They're like, I'm on the phone with a mythical creature. My chance of walking into a unicorn twice in my life is 0. If it's happened once, I'm just going to capitalize on this opportunity right now because it's never going to happen again. So like they say, you don't get struck by lightning twice. That's what it's like to be on the phone with a unicorn closer. The prospect's just like, must be my lucky day. Got to the end of the rainbow and I found a pot of gold. I'm going to take it now while I'm here. I'm not going to go and say, oh, I'll come back for it tomorrow. Maybe they go back and they get on another sales call with your offer and it's a different salesperson that does a shit job of the call. And they're like, oh shit, should have just bought back then. But subconsciously, your prospect knows this. They aren't going to go away and say they need to look around. Okay. All right. Rant over.
When you say association, is that associating them to their pain? Or just associating? Is it associating them with the pain, or like the association as in like if you go to jail together, you were there you're just part of, what's that term? I guess you were going to say it.
I know what you're referring to, but I don't remember the name.
Yeah.
Association means because you were the person
guilty by association. That's
guilty by association. Yes, if we want to use that phrase. Guilty by association, that the person they should buy the solution from should be the person that showed them the problem they have at a higher level of clarity than they've ever had before. Even though technically those two things aren't necessarily correlated. The fulfillment team is not you. So the fulfillment team could be dog shit. But by association, someone's on a call with a great salesperson and they assume, by association, well, if this salesperson's a unicorn, the offer must be a unicorn and the fulfillment must be a unicorn. So I want to have a unicorn fulfillment service. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right.
Totally.
Let's jump back into the role play. You can go from wherever you want. I'll help you out whenever you get stuck.
So with what's going on right now with your daughter, she rushes to get away from you. She's been cold. She ignores you, and you're worried that this can continue and you don't want to risk this anymore. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when she rushes to get away from you, how does that make you feel?
Terrible, because I mean, that's not what anybody wants as a parent. Obviously you want to give love to your kids, but when it's not reciprocated, or not even that, it's just, I know how much I fucked that up, and that's what makes it hurt, is that didn't have to happen if I would have done the right things months back, because like I said earlier, I mean, my goal 20 years ago or whatever was to not ever have this happen. And now it's like, it just hurts to see, like, I didn't do everything that I could have, and now I might have ruined my relationship with my daughter. So not good.
And there's you mentioned the right things months ago. What were these right things that you thought you should have done?
It's a good question, but there's a better question. It's a good question because...
Should I have gone to like how much longer did he want to like...
Not yet. There's one in the middle.
Okay. Is it the one in the chat? Like how badly does this hurt?
Didn't even read the chat. Don't read the chat while you're role playing or you'll get confused. The better question is, because we want to have a real conversation, what stopped you taking those right actions 6 months ago?
So I was in the right track. It's just a different way of saying it.
Because what are the right actions is actually taking him away from the pain and the ownership that it was his fault. Oh, well, I just need to do A, B, C. And then he's like moved away from feeling guilty and feeling shameful to feeling like positive and empowered. We're not at the point yet when we want the prospect to be positive and empowered. We need to hold them in the pain, hold them in the ownership longer.
So
If you bring them
what
into
should
pain,
he have done 6 months ago
it's not what
to
should
do
you
the
have done,
right?
it's what stopped you doing it. And I'll
Oh,
tell you where I'm going so you
yes.
can see why I'm doing this. We
Mhm.
basically want him to say, if it's true, something like, I really didn't realize the consequence. I didn't realize the cost of this. And then now, again, dot connecting, he's connecting the dots of me not realizing the cost and the consequence sooner has cost me the cost and the consequence, which, again, by association is going to make him realize I can't make that blunder twice. I can't get to the end of this call and say it's a lot of money, or I'm not ready yet, or I need to ask my wife, because the last time I didn't realize the cost, I had to pay the price. So we need him to really explain and say out loud, because it will probably, if it was a real prospect, that would be the reason. They would say, I had my head buried in the sand, and I just thought I could just keep getting away with it and getting away with it and getting away with it. And then now I've realized I can't.
Makes sense.
Whereas what you would have said would have taken him away from having to have that much rawer conversation with himself. Yep. He would have just said, I just need to buy a business. It needs to make $10,000 a month. As long as I can do that, I can quit my job and I can be around my daughter. Yes, those things, again, like I said before, they're the solutions. It's very logical, but that's not how you sell someone. You sell someone based on the pain, the guilt, the shame, the ownership, holding their feet to the fire. That's what makes people buy. Does this make sense, folks? Okay.
I'm curious. What if they say like, "Oh, I just didn't know like what to do," because I had a very similar conversation this morning. Threw me off. Like I just didn't know what the right things were.
How many hours did you spend looking?
So simple. Damn it. I love that.
I definitely overthink this stuff.
And the reason that is obviously my next question is because I know the thing that would have actually got you to put in the hours would have been realizing the consequence of it. And then you would have done the hours.
Yep.
Which, by the way, my mental models, guys, they always revert back to understanding human beings. I didn't come up with that question, Brian, because it's the next question on my script. I'm playing tic-tac-toe with myself, so I don't have next scripted questions. I come up with that question because I understand human beings, and I know if someone truly knows the consequence, they will do the work.
Yep.
So when someone says, I didn't find a solution, well, I know that means you didn't have a consequence. So my next question would be, how many hours did you put in? Oh, none. Why not?
That's why.
And then we're back to the same thing that you would have said if you'd have just answered my question the right way first time.
I didn't realize the consequence.
We've gone in a circle.
Wow. Okay. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Go from there, Rayanne.
So, Brian, you mentioned that you should have been doing the right things months ago. I mean, what stopped you from doing the right things months ago?
Not realizing like what's actually happening as a result of me continuing to work these hours. Like I knew obviously for a while that I wasn't on pace with my plans that I had when I was younger, but it was more of like, it's okay, it is what it is. But realizing the consequences of the effect on my relationship with my daughters, and then me missing all the sports games for my sons and not being around at home, like just being more aware of that recently because of obviously the play and just all this other stuff. I mean, this has gone from, it was a nice dream to have when I was young to, okay, I better figure this stuff out because I don't want to lose the people that I love in my life. It's not about money and financial freedom anymore. It's like there's actually a lot at stake. So and now I'm aware of that.
How much is at stake?
My relationship with my daughter, that's like the first one. I mean, I hope I can fix that. It's going to take a lot of time, but
pause. So again, good question. I'm just giving you slightly better ones, but that was good. Instead of what's at stake, because we kind of know it's his kids, his family.
Relationship.
I would ask slightly different question. I would have said, so role play this with me, Brian. You've just said, oh, it's now I've realized what's at stake. I would say, what is the value or the price for you of what's at stake right now?
It's infinite. I mean, I can't put a price on that.
Why can't you put a price on it?
Because people aren't, can't put a price on the relationships that I have. Those are infinitely valuable.
And I would go wherever I go. But you see how there's good
that's where
questions
my
and then there's
mind
slightly
was
better
going.
questions.
Yep,
so you've said that maybe 2 or 3 times. Is there any reason that when your mind goes somewhere, you're not going and asking what it sounds like you naturally are thinking to ask?
I guess it's just not, I guess it's more so articulating, because my mind was going to, well, damn, if that's at stake, then it's, I didn't put the 2 and 2 together of like asking the value. It's more so I felt like I just needed to go right in and be direct, because
You're still
where
being
I,
direct by asking what the
yeah,
value is. You're still being direct. Yeah.
but I didn't ask that question. It was more like shorten it. What's at stake? Where really my mind was going is like, shit, there's a price to this.
Even if you don't know how to articulate it as a question, you could have literally just said what you said. Watch this. So, Brian, say, well, I won't even get to say, you've just said, this is at stake, blah, blah, blah. I could literally just say, there's a price to this. I don't even have to ask it as a question. I can just say what's on my mind and then shut up. And
That's
Brian
true.
will be like, yeah, it's the biggest price I could ever pay. So don't overthink the articulation. What you want to
That's
go
what
with
I
is
do.
what's genuinely coming to your head.
Yep. That's exactly what I do all the time, is I overthink, where naturally, just like earlier with many more memories in my mind, I was like, you can make so much more. What the heck? And then even here, like, oh, not realizing the consequences. Like, I wanted to go with like, dude, seriously, you've been wanting to do this for so long. How did you not realize then, and why now? But then I was like, okay, that's besides the point, neither here or there. And then he went to that direction of,
were you ever told in your life that you have to be proper?
all the time. Yeah. Perfect. My mom was like OCD and had to be done a very, very perfect way. And I was like the golden child of like, yeah.
Inside of you, is there a lioness, a more raw version of you that has yet to be released in many cases?
Actually, I have a handled lioness.
If you tap into that on your sales calls, you'll help a lot more people. And you'll also feel more like you're allowing yourself to live.
Damn it. This is not what I wanted to do on here. I've seen the videos. I was like, okay, no, that's not going to be me. No. Oh gosh. Yeah. So everything I've had to do is like perfect.
That's why you're in high ticket sales. This is your opportunity to evolve past that, to serve people, but you got to serve yourself first.
I thought I'd done a lot of shadow work on this. Dang it.
This is your opportunity to do the shadow work on your calls. Be real, be authentic, speak your mind. You'll make more money, you'll help more people. And you'll realize that there was nothing wrong with you for just having that fire inside of you.
It comes out like that. And there's times where it's like,
you were told that you're not allowed to
tame
do that.
it. Yeah, tame it down. It's too much. It's too direct. You're being too blunt. I've had that happen on my calls.
There's definitely ways to finesse it. I'm not saying, that you can be combative, but suppressing and turning off your greatest power, your greatest strength is not the way. All right, folks, we'll leave it there.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Dang.
Rand's going to get like 30 piffs tomorrow.
Watch. Hey, we have an MC coming up, and 9 was my record for the day. So, hey, yeah, that's definitely possible.
Yeah,
you've got it.
100%.
Be the you that you always were told and then now started telling yourself that you're not allowed to be. You can be that person. You're supposed to be that person. That's what self-actualizing means. All right. Later, folks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Josh.
forgot that I'm supposed to do an outro to the video. There is no outro. If you want to learn to do what I got taught to do by my underground mentor so that you can serve people, there's a link below the video. As you can probably see and hear in my voice cracking up right now, this stuff means the world to me. It's helping people. It's changing people's lives. It's giving people permission. It's allowing people to be authentic. There's nothing greater. If you're in sales and you want to read from a script, that's fine. But that's not why I got into high ticket sales. That's not the destiny, the journey, the path that I was supposed to be on. And if you're watching this channel, it's probably not the path that you're supposed to be on. This is deep work. This is not your fucking word tracks and scripted questions and fake tonality. Because there are people out there like Rayanne, like your prospects, like all the members inside the mastermind that need help. Not help because they're weak, not help because there's anything wrong with them. Help to live true to themselves, to calibrate that, to develop it, to evolve it, but to be real, to be authentic. If you want to learn to have no bullshit conversations, if you want to become a unicorn closer, click the link below this video. I'll see you on the inside.